It's Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to Fireside Chat with Kimberly. Thank you to Terra Seed, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, Orgain, Revolution Gelato, and Terra Seed. I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy. Just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel, you are entered to win one of 7 prize packs. I am so excited that you are here with me tonight. So please, as always, just pop in the comments where you're watching from. Let me know what you're up to. Why not, right? Um, Tonight, I am talking about fur. There has been, fur fashion and companies, fashion houses that are dropping fur have been in the news quite a bit lately, and that has been very exciting. Hey, Diane, thanks for being here. Um, And so the fashion houses have been announcing that they are dropping fur for various reasons. So I wanted to talk about that because there was another one in the news. Hey, Richard, welcome. Thank you. So Richard and Diane are both there in Edison, New Jersey. So awesome. Um, okay. So what I wanted to start with, though, is not with the news, but I wanted to talk about first the first time, the only time actually, I went to a fur protest or an anti-fur protest. Yeah. And I was vegetarian maybe 6 months, maybe a year. So it's early 2000s. And I went into the city, New York City. That's what we call it here. And when you live near New York, you just call it the city. But went into the city and was there for because Lord and Taylor was opening their fur salon. And so I was there with a group of people I'd never met before. I don't even know how I found out about it because like the internet existed, but I don't think I was on it enough. But anyway, doesn't matter. I got there and I was brand new, never done anything like that before, but it felt really important because even before I went vegetarian, I thought fur was kind of gross, at least on humans. It's beautiful on the animals that it belongs to. So anyway, I'm in the city. I'm at this protest, and it was a silent protest, and one of the protesters actually started chanting, and the rest of the protesters told him to knock it off. So we were very well behaved, but it was really cold outside. So there were people walking around with fur coats on, and I remember that one man was in like this mid-length brown giant fur coat, and he was so pleased with himself. And we were all standing there, we were lined up on the sidewalk holding signs, with pictures of various animals used for fur and said things like, she needs her fur more than you do, stuff like that. And he just walked by us, like right on top where his fur coat actually grazed our fingers as he walked by. And he just laughed his head off, and it was just such great entertainment for him. So that was the first time I was exposed to that kind of interaction. Of course, from when I first went vegetarian, I heard from family and friends that they like were not into it. I had experienced that, but not from like a complete stranger that was kind of like yelling at us and rubbing his coat on our hands, and it was just really awful and gross. And gross because you know that poor animal died so that this guy could wear its skin and its fur. So, how do we get fur? Why do people think that it's such a big deal to wear fur? Because it is super cruel to take the fur from an animal. Um, Many animals are there. I guess 3 main ways to kill an animal for fur, and they are anally electrocuted, they are clubbed, or they are literally thrown against the ground until they are unconscious enough to be skinned. they don't necessarily have to be dead. And the reason why those methods are used is because it preserves the pelt, as they call it, more than any other, like other ways that they could kill them would damage the fur and the skin. So they don't do it that way. And the animals that are raised for fur are very often kept in fur farms. So much like the animals where we've talked about previously that are being raised for food, animals that are raised in fur farms are kept in those in tiny cages as well, and they also don't do well in captivity. So you will find, mink pacing their cages because they're going crazy from being stuck in this tiny box. And so they are, um, their entire lives are sad and full of cruelty. Then, like I said, so when they either stun them enough to get them under control, the animals under control, or they've been, electrocuted, anally electrocuted, then they'll be skinned. And sometimes the animals are still alive when that happens. And then they're thrown into a dead pile, is what it's called, even though so many of them are not. And that's where they that's where they die. I have seen myself, and you can look it up on, on the internet, and it's even featured in a music video by the band Rise Against, where there's an animal that's been skinned, and they are alive, sitting on top of the pile of other animals, just blinking, and you know, dying. So, if that doesn't convince you that fur is unnecessary for us, I don't know what will. But there are a ton of alternatives now, and while I go into that, I will say for me, I will not wear faux fur because for me, I think it sends the wrong message. I think it sends the message that fur is nice and fur is lovely and fur is great to wear, and I don't think so. So even if it is fake, and there have been reports that, and it's been found that there are certain they've found actual like real fur, animal fur, in like lining the like hood linings of coats that claim to be faux fur, or like the origin unknown, or however they label it. So they so you can't even be certain, unless you're buying from a vegan brand, that the the fur on your coat is not real, even if it says faux fur. I mean, those came out like a while ago, a couple of years ago, um, that there were companies still selling things that had real fur in them and labeling them faux fur. I don't know if it still happens, but for me, I don't want to promote that, so I don't wear faux fur. I know there are some people that think like, well, wearing faux fur lets people know there's an alternative. But I don't know. I think that that's really not like a nice look, and it's it seems kind of gaudy to me. So that's my opinion, completely my opinion. If you want to wear faux fur and have a conversation with someone about how it's not real, okay. Um, but I know that that is definitely not for me. Um, so I know that that was a bit of tough information to share. So but it's important. The reason why people go vegan is because it's so difficult when you realize how animals have been treated for human convenience, that you don't want to be part of it anymore, and that is motivation to not be part of it anymore. Um, so that's my 2 cents there. Um, I did look up some designers. Exactly, yes. Thank you. Difficult truths for sure. Yeah. But important, right? Like, we have to do hard things to be um, better people in the world. And, as far as I'm concerned, that should be the goal for everyone, to be a better person than we were yesterday. And part of that is facing those things that are really super hard and working our way through them and coming out the other side a better person, a kinder person, more compassionate person. So I was excited to see, although not surprised, that Stella McCartney and Kate Spade have never used fur. Then I found another article that said that they had stopped using fur a long time ago. But I mean, Stella McCartney is the daughter of Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney. So the internet is full of truths and lies. And so I like to think that Stella never used fur. But you certainly, if you're into the high end brands like that, those two might be great options for you, knowing that you're avoiding fur. And of course, Kate Spade uses animal skins. That's a whole other thing. So we're just talking about fur today. And then I looked up. I was really surprised to find that Calvin Klein, not that I ever had a thought about Calvin Klein using fur, not using fur, they actually dropped fur from their line in 1994. So they were like really ahead of the game. So that is really cool. That was really cool to find out. Tommy Hilfiger, a former employer of mine, many years ago, stopped using fur in 2007. I worked there before that, had no idea that they used fur. I worked in an outlet store, and the fur products clearly never made it to the store. So I was a teenager. I had no idea. Not that that's an excuse. I'm just telling you that's what's what. Jimmy Choo and Michael Kors both announced in 2018 that they were dropping fur. Michael Kors is still phasing it out. His line should be completely fur free by the end of this year. And then of course, Macy's, known for their fur salon. I actually didn't shop in Macy's for many years because the one near me had a fur salon, and when that closed, then I probably went in there a few times. I'm not a big shopper, which is why I seem confused as to when the last time I was at Macy's was. But Macy's, their fur salon and their bridal salons were like what they were known for. It was like a big deal, and like even reading about it, it turns out that you could store your furs at Macy's or at Bloomingdale's when you weren't using them. They would preserve them and store them, and you'd go pick them up. So fancy. Made people feel very royal, I guess. But they announced that by the end of 2020, all of their fur salons would be closed. So I actually did some more research, and I went on their website, and I found under their FAQs about their fur policy, and it says that they were closing everything in 2020. But here we are, October 2021, and they hadn't updated their policy. So I did some more searching, and I found on their website where you can actually shop. I searched under their fur salon, and there are zero items available. So while their website is unclear as to whether or not all of the fur salons have been shut down, you certainly can't buy them online anyway. And then what really brought this to the forefront for me over the last couple of weeks, Billie Eilish, a pop singer, she made a deal with Oscar de la Renta company and said, fashion house, and said that she would gladly wear a dress if they opted to drop fur. And the people who are in charge of Oscar de la Renta now had been feeling, per this interview that I read, they had been feeling that fur was outdated, and Oscar himself apparently really loved fur and thought it was amazing and didn't see a future without it. And they thought that he was not really being very, looking forward. He was too stuck in the past. So when Billy presented this option for them to drop fur for good, in order to dress her, they saw it as a great opportunity and they took it. And now they will be completely fur free. And then just last week, Saint Laurent, which is another like really fancy fashion house, they announced too that they will be completely fur free next year, starting with next year's first line, and that their parent company said it was just time to do the right thing. And so they also own various other companies. I think Gucci is one of them, but they have like a whole Italian menswear line. And now, because that is under that same parent company, all of those companies will be completely fur free come January of 2022 or the first quarter of 2022, which is really super cool. So, and I love that Saint Laurent came out and said, like, it's just time to do the right thing. And I hope that other fashion houses and those that have really held on to this, like, really just unnecessary way to create fashion. And like, seriously, I don't even understand what is so fashionable about it, because to me it just, I don't know, it just looks bad. Humans should not be draped in fur. Like, we have so many other options. And they're like thousands of dollars. In When I was doing research, it came up like there was an article about Macy's about their $8,000 minks and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh! Like, I mean, I know there's a big wealth disparity here in this country, but it just seemed it was a little much for me, and I'm really glad that there are so many fashion houses that are letting go of this, and looking forward. And there's so many, and animal skins, like I said before, that'll come next. Victoria Beckham, I didn't know. I I'll admit, most of what I know about her is from the Spice Girls. So I didn't even know that she had this high-end fashion line, but she actually announced that she'll be dropping exotic animal skins, so things like ostrich and crocodile and stuff like that, snake, I'm guessing. So that she's going to be dropping that from her lines next year. So that's a really good sign, right? So we're seeing a lot of companies uh, getting rid of fur, and now maybe we'll start to see those moving away from animal skins as well. Especially if you go back a few episodes, I talk all about things that are, leather, and they are made completely from plants, and they're soft and amazing and fancy looking, and that would just be super fantastic. Diane, you are so right. They're definitely a status, fur coats and fur items are definitely a status symbol for some people. um, and I just hope that they can see another way. If it's important for them to flaunt their wealth and let the world know, I hope that they can find a way that's not loaded with cruelty. That would be super cool. So, what do we do? We see these changes happening, and it's just like with anything else. Like, we've got to use our voices in whatever way that we can, and we use our voices and we use our wallets. So it's important that if a company or a fashion line that you love still uses fur, stop buying it, and then let them know that you won't buy it again until they stop using fur. And we've got social media, although that proved to be not completely true today, right? When Facebook and Instagram were both down for hours on end. How'd you guys do? Were you okay? I was okay. Um, but when you can get onto social media, it's so easy to connect with companies, with their various departments. And of course, like, no company wants like negative tweets or posts about them. So if you are posting about how you'll never buy something from a certain brand until they drop fur, make sure that you tag them in it, and just keep doing that, and talk to the people in your life and let them know why you don't wear fur, why you won't buy fur, and just spread the message. Because just like with everything else, when people stop paying for it, companies reassess. We live in the United States where it is all about the almighty dollar. So keep that in mind. Our power is in our voices and in our wallets. Don't ever forget that. You can change things. You see, of course, like, Billie Eilish got Oscar de la Renta to drop fur because she's Billie Eilish. So obviously, exposure and money and things like that will motivate these companies to stop engaging in things like fur. So that's my call to action, if you will. Uh, find companies that you love or that you know are using fur products, and reach out to them and tell them, no, stop doing this. We don't want this. And tell your friends to do it, and I'll join you. Let me know. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I, as always, am so honored to do this work and so happy to be here with you every single Monday. Uh, Make sure that you reach out to me if you have questions or suggestions for other topics for future shows. You can reach me on Facebook or Instagram when they're up and running at Did You Bring the Hummus? Or you can go to my website and send me a message there through the contact form at didyoubringthehummus.com. I'm launching a course. You can go to my website and find out all about that. Thank you so much and have an amazing week. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.